Wamajenka. I bring you greetings from the land of the Wurundjeri, Kulin Nation, to the land of the Seminole in the United States. Hi, it's Sarah. I'm here today to hopefully bring you some time that will bring you closer to creation and the divine within you. I am in the middle of summer, actually. Our summer is beginning to wind its way down. Our pear tree no longer has any pears because the lorikeets, which are these adorable, loud, cheeky little birds that look like flying rainbows, have eaten them all, as well as the tiny ringtail possum and the much larger brush-tailed possum have taken those down. But my favorite was sitting here in this chair in the evening and looking up at the tree and seeing the fruit bats, who are like, I call them sky puppies. So I sat and listened to them, and it was a revelation to me yet again that is my happy place, that I feel closest to God when I am sitting quietly, silent, watching the world around me, particularly those beasts that I love. Today I will be talking about transformation, and so I welcome you and I honor the traditional owners of our land, past, present, and emerging, both here and there. See you soon. Good afternoon. I'm cheating a little bit because I had to write a sermon for the Welsh Church this weekend, and it was about transfiguration. And transfiguration and transformation is something that I've been thinking about quite a lot recently. So I thought that I would do a little more research and dig a little deeper. And you guys give me a great opportunity to do that because I don't have to stick within the Christian tradition. And it took me to some really wonderful places. So, I'm called to the Welsh Church here in Melbourne, Australia. And because we're Christian and because I like to follow the church year, the sermon was about transfiguration. And for those of you that don't know, the transfiguration is a story when Jesus, as an adult, goes up to the mountain. He likes mountains. He also likes beaches, so both kinds of people, with 3 of his disciples. And he is transformed. His clothes are made brighter than the sun. The sky is open. A voice from the cloud says, "This is my son, with whom I am well pleased." And then he chats with Elijah and Moses, who are very, very dead from a very, very long time ago. And Peter, one of his disciples, gets so flustered that Peter basically starts babbling, saying anything he wants to, which is basically what most of us would do in those circumstances. It's a really strange story. But one of my favorite things that comes out of this story, maybe because it was a heresy in early Christian times, is that we are transformed and transfigured. We are changed by our faith. And every religion has a different name for it. In Buddhism, when you are bodhisattva, you are an enlightened being who has put off entering paradise in order to help others attain enlightenment. Moksha is when you are liberated from samsara, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And love and service is how you do this, how you become liberated from the wheel. Mystical awareness. I have neighbors. Mystical awareness. I might leave that in, I might not, I don't know. Mystical awareness is when we see through the illusions and we share those insights with others. All of these things have others as the key to these processes. It's not just a me thing, it's an us thing. In Christianity, it has a lot of names. It's called justification, sanctification, or even, if you're Eastern Orthodox, deification, being made into a deity, basically. Protestants, non-Catholics, have tended to think through these categories like justification, sanctification, and deification as an order. When we embrace the Protestant type understanding of salvation. Anabaptists, it's one type of Baptists, new ones, focus on discipleship and the practical understanding. Pentecostals focus on empowerment and healing. The Roman Catholic tradition looks at this through the lens of transformation and renewal. The Eastern Orthodox traditions have emphasized participation and deification, which I have to admit is one of my favorites. But in all of these cases, God is not a bearded male deity in the clouds, but is life, is creation, the divine, the all. So I challenge you to think about how we are all of these things. Yes, even a little bit Roman Catholic. It's not a how-to list, it's a menu, and we can feast at this banquet. The Christian link has always been calling, election, sending, and salvation, as if we go one rung at a time. But what if it's a mud puddle, not a ladder? The divine not only justifies and sanctifies human life in the power of the Spirit, but it gives it direction, vocation. It gives it a great hope, and it does it repeatedly, messily, not in order. When we focus on the order, the way we look at the divine work of liberation and love and reconciliation starts to get narrow, even a little bit narcissistic, and it creeps into our life of faith and it makes it rigid. And then we're back on the ladder. How many people do we know who say that they're spiritual but not religious? You know one, me. Even as a minister, I do not consider myself religious. I'm Lutheran because that's how I learned to love God, and it is part of who I am. I tried a lot of different other religions and a lot of different ways of working with the divine, and I'm Lutheran. I'm a minister, but I'm a minister because I'm called to speak to interconnected relationships and how those relationships don't just make us who we are, but they change us. And they change others to be part of the whole, and the whole to be part of us. My faith tells me this is done through love, through Christ in word and in deed. Others people's religions, faith, beliefs, spirituality tell them differently. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. In a completely unexpected turn of events, we showed up at this little Melbourne Welsh church in downtown a year and a half ago, and we found a fit. And then the Spirit did a little bit of tinkering and more unexpected stuff, and 1 year ago, I preached my first sermon there because they welcomed me and they embraced the spiritual part. The ministers here in the nonconformist Welsh Methodist Church are Presbyterian, Lutheran, and Free Church because we are in love with the divine, not the religion. How faith and love and living in creation, not apart from it, changes us is a huge part of the story of the Transfiguration. For some, it's a booming voice and a blinding flash. For most of us, it's invisible, it's silent. It's the day-to-day flashes of beauty, the sorrows, the laughter, the glorious, and the mundane. For some of us, it's messy, and it involves a lot of mileage. How many of us have spiritual practices that we wouldn't call traditional prayer? I haven't kneeled by my bed since I was a small child, but I pray without ceasing. I go through my list of names, other people, not myself, and wish them the best things that I can think of for them. And sometimes I just say their names knowing that the divine's got this. Their names are known. How many things do we do with an aim of focusing attention and opening our awareness, like yoga or meditation, that also honor the fundamental focus of many, many spiritual practices? The voice from the cloud does not invite us to listen in general, but also to listen to embodied love. It doesn't give us a recipe for how to create the feast. It reminds us that we're already in it. We're in the mix. We're part of that banquet. And we have something to offer and a lot to share. C.S. Lewis understood this complex concept and expressed it in Mere Christianity. He said, quote, "The command to be ye perfect is not idealistic gas, nor is it a command to do the impossible. He is going to make us into creatures who can obey that command. He said in the Bible that we were gods, and he is going to make good his word. If we let him, because we can try to prevent him, he will make the feeblest and filthy of us into a god or a goddess, dazzling, radiant, immortal creatures pulsating all through with such energy, joy, wisdom, and love that we cannot now imagine. A bright, stainless mirror which reflects back to him perfectly, although, of course, on a much smaller scale. His own boundless power is delight and goodness. The process will be long, and in parts, very painful. But that's what we're in for, nothing less, because God meant what God said." End quote. For us, that means looking beyond the narrowness of religion and into spirituality, into other religions, into nature, and into life. We can learn so much about this transformation by watching the world around us. We are as related to the trees and the oceans as we are to each other. Biologically, we're even in the same family as the octopus, the hedgehog, the lorikeet, or the cat. What we do with our transformations, big or small, is in part up to us, but also it's in part up to our relationships. I invite you to take notice. Take note and recognize how and when you are changed by love and what things you change around you as a result of it. We reflect the life around us and it reflects us. Enjoy the mud, the cool ooze and the squish between your toes, and while we wait and we wonder and we watch, enrich the life around you. Care for something living and let yourself be cared for, whether it is a plant, a pet, or a wild bird. And I say the pet and the wild bird part because, as you can see, Lucy here is in her cat patio. This cares for her because she loves to be outside, something she'd never experienced before Australia. And it cares for the birds because cats aren't native here, and they tend to kill the wildlife and the birds, which are amazing and unique to Australia. So in this little thing that we have done, which is not so little, we are caring for both, and as a result, both of them are caring for us. Lucy will invite me out. Just stick her head in the cat door and ask me to come sit, which is why you are getting this message today from this location. I want to invite you to recognize that it is the little transformations, and they can take time, but you are perfectly, delightfully, wonderfully made. You are part of this whole. You are part of this all. You are part of this interconnected creation of love. Amen. I'm going to deviate from my script and try ad-libbing the closing prayer and leave you with the thought that the hum I hear right now, and hopefully you can hear a little bit too, is the hum of traffic. And while some people would be put off by that, I want you to consider that the hum of traffic is the hum of life. It is our version of bees. And as we go about our business and we come back and we come forth, everything we do, whether it is for the greater good, for personal gain, or habit, transforms us. It makes us who we are. It builds on the scaffold that we have laid and that has been laid for us. So consider sometime that your daily actions, washing the dishes, driving to work, taking a walk, or staying at home, doing a puzzle, sitting and reading, communing with the animals, communing with the plants. All of these things are life and love built on the scaffolding of the divine. Go in peace.